Hello, I'm Brenda, and welcome to the Gray Area 365 podcast. In the previous episode, I talked about New Year's resolutions around health and fitness, and also fears of starting a new project or goal. And I got asked what my New Year's goals were besides fitness and health. I started writing again during quarantine, and now I keep a journal. Reading and writing have been things I enjoyed doing and subjects I enjoyed the most in school. I would join book clubs in college. I also took creative writing and journalism classes in college that I really enjoyed. Do any of you keep a journal like now as an adult? Or maybe because life gets busy, you switched over to like a journaling or a writing app on your phone, since everything is on our phones now and at the tip of our fingers, and maybe easier for some people to write on the go. I tried 2 different writing apps and found that I enjoy the old-fashioned way, and actually like an actual journal to write in. But if you use a writing app for like writing and journaling, let me know what apps you use and what apps you guys like. I'm interested to know what people use to write your daily thoughts and what's on your mind. I also wanted to start reading more since quarantine, but I just really don't have the time. I read like 3 books total in quarantine, back in like March or the beginning of March when we were in lockdown due to COVID. Then I kept buying and ordering books and that I wanted to read, and now I have a stack of like 5 books ready to be read, and I just don't have the time. So I did make the switch over to audiobooks and use the Audible app, I think that's how you say it, on my phone to listen to books. What are your opinions on that? And what are your thoughts on audiobooks? I've heard a lot of different opinions on audiobooks. One being that it's not really reading and it's more like listening to a story, which it doesn't count. And it makes sense, but that's just what I have time for and how I enjoy reading, or I guess listening to books these days. I found an article on Psychology Today called "Why Listening to Books is Not the Same as Reading It." In the article, people ask and get answers by a guy named Daniel Willingham, a psychologist at the University of Virginia, and he talks about the difference between reading versus listening to a book. And in the article it says, and I quote, "Reading is something you do, where listening is something that happens to you. Reading is an act of engagement." End quote. I've talked to people where I've said, "Oh, I read this book." Then they're like, "Oh yeah, like can I borrow the book?" Or, "Let me see the book." And I'm like, "Oh well, I listened to it. I listened to the audiobook." And then, they're like, "Oh, that's not really reading." So it made me think, is listening to a book not considered reading? Is it like cheating? But according to the article, listening to a book isn't like cheating or anything. Depending on this is what the article said, depending on the performance of the text, it might even be the better option. But let me know, do you prefer actually like holding a book in your hands and reading, and don't really like the whole audiobook situation? Or have you made the switch to audiobooks and, reading or I guess listening to books that way. I am currently listening or reading a book on audio called, let me get the name, The Friday Night Knitting Club by Kate Jacobs, and it's a series of 3 books. I'm on the first one, and I've been enjoying listening to that lately. My husband read a book not too long ago on audio called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and he highly recommends it, and I've been meaning to read that as well. He recommends it to like everybody we talk to. And now, like, I've got a whole wish list of audiobooks that I want to read and listen to. If you've read either book that I've mentioned, let me know your thoughts on them. Also, let me know of any good book recommendations that you may have, or, what your favorite reads are in, good books that you've listened to or read lately. I enjoy nonfiction mainly, but if it's a good story that is fiction, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a go. If it interests me, I'll put it on my list and I'll eventually read it. I love book recommendations. So send those my way. My goals for 2021, other than fitness and health, creating and starting this podcast is a big goal of mine, and this is the second full episode. So yay! If you're listening or following the Gray Area 365 podcast, thanks and welcome back. If you're new, welcome. My name is Brenda, and this is the Gray Area 365 podcast. Please rate, follow, and subscribe on Anchor, Spotify, or wherever you're listening. I'm open to feedback on how I can improve the podcast, or if you have a topic you'd like to share and have me talk about, I'm open to those suggestions as well. You can email me at thegrayarea365@gmail.com. And the podcast does have a YouTube channel where I upload episodes as well. So if you want to listen to an episode through YouTube, you can go follow the Gray Area 365 on YouTube. I'll also place the link in the description box so you can know where to go and follow and subscribe the podcast on YouTube if you choose to. But follow the Gray Area 365 on Instagram. I usually announce the upcoming episodes on the Instagram page for the followers on there. Okay, so back to goals. I've always wanted to write a book, and I've decided this year to start writing a book, and this is something that I am currently working on. The goal is to complete the book and hopefully get it edited and published in hopefully the upcoming next 2 years or maybe 3. I figure I'm gonna start writing the book, hopefully complete it. Hopefully sometime complete the book. So hopefully sometime at the end of this year, possibly the beginning of the next year. But, it may take longer, and that's fine. I'm not on a time frame or deadline as to when I want to complete the book, so that I don't feel pressure to rush through it. I'm really just taking my time with it to make it what I want it to be, and all that takes time. I really haven't looked into anything like research or on editing or publishing my book yet. Like I said, I figure I'll start it and finish writing it, and maybe later on find an editor, hopefully a publisher, when that time comes and I'm ready to do so. Who knows? Maybe I'm wishing too big and thinking way far in advance. But yeah, that's a big goal for me, and something that I'm looking forward to and excited about. I've also started knitting. I know it's kind of an older kind of grandma hobby, I guess. I've always gotten made fun of for knowing how to knit in like a good way, or at least that's how I take it. I learned how to knit my senior year of high school, and I haven't knitted anything since. So I decided to make myself some cozy little warm socks, and I just received like the needle size for the socks, and I got started on them actually this weekend, and I was getting a little frustrated because I haven't knitted in like 12 years. So I decided to knit myself a scarf instead, just to get me going again. And I'm almost finished with my scarf and plan on starting my sock soon. So it was kind of like riding a bike, you haven't done it in a while, but then you get the hang of it once you get going. So yeah, that's a small little project I'm working on, and it's been really helpful to like not be on my phone so much. I just sit there and knit while I'm watching, a movie with my husband or a show that we watch or whatever. So yeah, that's been nice. But the biggest goal that I'm looking forward to and also terrified of is hopefully getting pregnant and becoming a mom this year. Becoming a parent. It's something both my husband and I are looking forward to, and super excited but scared all at the same time. We were planning on getting pregnant last year, but with COVID, I freaked out, and I decided to wait till to this year to hopefully get a little bit more back to normal. And I want to say I feel so lucky and grateful to have my husband in my life, because this podcast and the start of my book would not have been started or created if it wasn't for him. I told him about the podcast a long time ago and talked, about how I've always wanted to write a book. And he kind of just looked at me and was like, well, what are you waiting for? Do it. And I was terrified. I was like, how do you do that? How do you even do something like that? How do you get started? And I couldn't have started this podcast or my book without his support and him pushing me to get out of my comfort zone and pushing me to just do it. So yeah, like here I am, 2 episodes into the podcast and about 3 chapters into the book, and hopefully the start of accomplishing those 2, big goals that I've always wanted and been too afraid to start working towards. Currently, I have goals on like being healthy, to maintain a healthier lifestyle, to hopefully get pregnant and become a mom, creating content for this podcast, a small little knitting project, a book that I'm working on. So I have a lot to look forward to and going on for 2021, and I'm trying to balance everything out and make time for everything on top of, my daily work schedule. So today I want to talk about balance. What does it look like for you? How do you balance everything in your life with, everything going on, careers, parenting, staying healthy, etc.? Many of us play a lot of different roles in our lives. Being a mom, being a dad, having a career, being a wife, being a husband, house duties and chores, being a friend, and, working on accomplishing other goals. I mean, how do you make time and balance everything out? I feel that, thanks to COVID, we all have realized that we don't always have control of our futures or plans. and our whole lives have changed. Everything, our daily routine and lifestyle, everything has changed. Especially now, a lot of people have taken on the role of teacher to their kids, whether it's part-time or remote learning full-time. With all the craziness going on, we've all taken on an extra role and have had to adjust to this new current life for our own safety and health. And it's crazy to look around and see how a lot of things have changed. And everyone's wearing masks, and now not being able to give or receive friendly smiles. But we're all in this together and on the same boat. And there's hope for 2021. Hopefully everything will start to become easier and we can all go back to somewhat normal that we had before. I do want to, just because we're talking about this, I do want to give my condolences to those families that lost a loved one to COVID. And if you are currently, struggling with COVID or have struggled with it in the past, I wish for a full healthy and a full recovery for you. This pandemic, it really sucked and it's affected all of us, but it's made us slow down and appreciate and be grateful for the relationships we do have, and especially for our health. We've noticed and we've recognized how important it is to take care of ourselves and take care of our health. The true meaning of balance is defined as a mental steadiness of emotional stability, a state in which things occur in an equal or proper amount of balance, and a habit of calm behavior, judgment, etc. And as I'm reading the meaning of balance, it seems it's like a little too good to be true. Do you ever really have or find that balance in your life? Like, have you found that balance in your life? Like, think about it. When was the last time you went to bed at night and said to yourself, I balanced everything today. I accomplished everything on my to-do list. I gave enough time to the many roles I play in my life. I feel content with the amount of time I spent with my kids. I got all the chores around the house done. I talked to my friend and spent time with my husband or wife or family. I got it all done today, on top of however long your workday is. Have you ever ended a day feeling that day was fully balanced? Is that even possible? I feel as humans and normal, beings, the meaning of balance plays a different role in itself. I mean, we can have good days, great days even, but we're always going to have something we didn't get to. Maybe we didn't, make enough time for, or that we just forgot about. There's always something on top of something else. On a daily basis, we all have a lot on our minds, and I read somewhere that the average person has more than 6,000 thoughts a day. Like, that's crazy. I don't remember what article it was, but I'll find the article and I'll link the description in the box. It was an interesting article, but there's no way we're always going to, get everything done and, It's just we have a lot of, roles that we take on, and all those roles can't be perfectly done like on a daily basis, balanced all out. Having mental steadiness, emotional stability, and overall balance, and just to have good structure in our lives is all very important, especially for like mental health. And I've come to accept that I will never truly balance all the roles I play in my life. And I'm okay with that. It doesn't mean that they're not all important to me, or that I don't make time for them. But I've gotten better at prioritizing, and feel that it's all about like time management, and also learning to live in that moment, which I tend to forget sometimes. And sometimes I don't live in that moment. And I need to get better at that, to like know that, this is what I'm doing now. Like I'm listening, to my friend or to my husband, and this, I'm an overthinker, and the type of person that always has to have a plan or plan ahead. So I'm learning, and I have gotten better at making time and living and enjoying the many roles I play in my life as a wife, sister, daughter, aunt, employee, podcasting, writing, being a friend, by balancing to the best of my ability. I've created a routine that works for me and a schedule. I split my time for different roles and tasks for different days, and try to stick to my routine and schedule. And, so far I felt good about it. So far it's been going really well for me. And I've been going to bed more content with less stress on my mind. But I've also had to learn that sometimes it's also like okay to get off schedule, and that plans don't always go as planned. Nothing is perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. So, don't expect perfection and for, everything to go smoothly or as planned, or, it doesn't always go the way you imagine it or the way that you plan it. And it's okay. Like, there's no need to stress, because I tend to stress about that stuff sometimes. I'm a true believer that if you don't, if you really want to accomplish something, you can find and make time for it in your life. And the biggest advice that I want to share is to be honest with yourself and assist the amount of time you waste on a daily basis. How much time do you spend, I don't know, scrolling through social media, or whatever it is, or whatever other things that you waste your time on? Time that you can use for reading a book that you've been wanting to read. Write in your journal, go for a quick walk, spend time with friends and loved ones, work on a project or a goal, get your chores done, and the list can go on. And I'm guilty of it. I'm guilty for being on social media at times and wasting my time scrolling through social media. I think we all do it. And it's important to be aware of that, and know when you catch yourself doing it, to remind yourself that you have goals for yourself. that you want to work on and make time for. Really ask yourself, is this worth my time looking through all the social media or whatever it is that you're wasting your time on? Ask yourself, in what way does this benefit me as a person and help me accomplish my goals and my daily duties and the roles I play in my life? And it's a work in progress. We've all been there. We all experience it, and we go through it on a daily basis. It's a daily struggle, but if you create that mindset and structure, I believe we're all capable of finding a good balance for the many roles we each play in our day-to-day lives. And once we stop wasting our time on unnecessary things, we begin to shine. We begin to feel better, lighter, and we begin to see progress on things that we want to accomplish, goals, projects, and improve relationships. We have our spouses, our friends, our loved ones, parents, sisters, brothers, that those relationships start to improve as well. The communication gets better. So let me know, what roles do you play in your life, and how do you balance it all out? When was the last time you ended a day content, feeling whole and balanced? If you feel you don't have that balance or structure in your life, what are you doing differently? What are you going to begin to do differently to change that? To start creating that balance you want in your life? Email me at thegrayarea365@gmail.com. Message me on Instagram at thegrayarea365. Thanks for listening. Remember to rate, subscribe, and follow the Gray Area 365 podcast on Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, or wherever you're listening to the podcast. Have a fabulous week. Go crush your goals. Balance and make time for what's important to you. I hope to talk to you and hear from you soon. And I want you to remember that you're not alone. Goodbye.